going to come up in a second. Okay, looks like it's going to go. Oh, maybe not. There we go. All right. We should be live. Let me just record this. All right. I think I got everything all set. I think we're good to go. Take that down, bring that up. All right. Well, welcome everybody to our next edition of Three Men in a Bottle. John is still going with this baby thing. So.
Yeah. I'm afraid that if it's the 3 men and a baby kind of thing that you're doing here, that I'm the Steve Gutenberg in the equation. I'll leave you to decide who you're the Selleck and the dancing on. But
I think Steve Gutenberg would probably be the shortest one on that, so I'll probably have to be on that one.
Oh.
But anyways, we digress.
Rats in a swaddling cloth.
Yes.
I'm going to present to you.
Where do you have this baby cloth from?
Yeah, I actually went out and bought it for.
Okay, all right.
So it's brand new. It's not
all
used.
Right.
Okay. It doesn't smell bad.
All
nice
right.
and clean.
All right.
And there it is.
There it is. I present to you Ardbeg Traigh Bhan, 19-year-old.
Wow.
Ardbeg Traigh Bhan. We're gonna do a 19-year-old.
Batch 4.
I don't think it could be 3 men in a bottle. I don't think it could be on the baby part because a 19-year-old is certainly not a baby.
Certainly
so
an older whiskey for sure.
It's just an angry teenager at that point.
Here we go.
So as of today, Ardbeg is up to batch 5. This is batch 4.
Okay.
And I will check my notes on this in a second. But
this has been pretty popular. I mean, they've done these. They've sold out. I know we have some batch 4 right now, but
it's now so now this is their second age statement that is now part of their core lineup.
Okay.
Right. So they will always have a 19-year-old, although every batch differs year to year. And according to my notes on this one, the batch 4, what makes it a little different from the previous batches is that not only we'll get into the bottling mystic part of it, but so they allegedly use more Oloroso sherry casks.
Okay, for this one.
All right, let me just do a quick background. Ardbeg, a single malt distillery on Islay in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, 2 of the most mispronounced words in the Scottish whiskeys.
Yeah.
Islay, which looks like it should be pronounced Islay, is a small island about the size of Martha's Vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Ardbeg, usually somebody throws an extra R at the end and call it Ardbeg. But Ardbeg, right on the coast, right near Port Ellen, the town,
Mm-hmm.
and making a delicious peated whiskey, which Islay is very famous for. Although they tend to have much younger expressions because that can also emphasize the peat and smoke kind of flavor that you get.
We talked about this when we try this. We're going to be awful. I'm going to be awful cognizant of the fact that I talk about young whiskey with peat, that sort of sweet peat.
Yeah.
You know, as it gets older, the composition, the chemical composition sort of changes, and you get more of those earthy tones to it.
Yep.
So, without further ado, I think we probably should now. Well, remember the rules. The
bottle was previously open.
Yes, the bottle's previously open. You can nose it as much as you like. You take 2 sips.
2 sips.
First sip is obviously the acclimate. Second sip is the one you're going to be judging on. Now, after you do that and give your sort of opinion on that, you can go back and try more and get more out of it. But that's sort of the premise of this whole thing is basically on the 2 sips.
And the premise also being based on your first sip will also kind of awaken your palate and let you know what's going on. But the second one is really going to get where most of your information is going to come from. Okay.
All right. So
as you smell it, just right off the nose, just tons of that peat, that earthiness, that just delicious like flavor that I'm anticipating. You have to like peated whiskeys if you're going to enjoy.
Yes, please. I will put a caveat on this one. If you know you do not like peated whiskeys and you're abhorred to peat at all, this is not your cup of tea.
And with a few exceptions like Glenlivet, most of the peated whiskeys will come in a darker bottle, like a green bottle or a brown bottle.
Yes.
So
all right. So I've taken my first sip. The nose, you said, Randall's spot on.
Going on to my second. Speaking of the nose, when I open a bottle of Ardbeg downstairs at home, my wife from upstairs can say, "Hey, you're drinking that Ardbeg again, aren't you?" I say, "Yes."
Fortunately, that happens every day.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody on there, Johnny, you're on your second sip.
I'm on my second sip.
Okay, so what's your analysis?
My analysis is that this is more of a gentleman's handshake than a punch in the mouth with a peat, as you were initially describing, right? Usually, like some of even the classic Ardbeg 10, or some of the younger peated whiskeys of all distilleries, can be very heavy on the peat sweet up front. This is definitely more refined. I hate to use the word subdued, but it's like I said, like the analogy I like to use more of a gentleman's handshake. But you're still getting all of those classic Ardbeg notes that are there, like a little bit of citrus, a little bit of toasted pineapple, of course, smoke throughout, a little bit of like that salty saline that kind of makes it, as some people add saline to the cut, makes it pop a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit nutty, but delicious all around.
Okay. Randall
Yep.
Bird?
I think it's more of a working man's handshake, where they grab the elbow and it's a good
Make
solid
sure that you know
handshake.
it's
But
solid.
Sure.
when you're talking in the spectrum of Ardbeg and other big forward peated whiskey, because this is quite intense compared to other Scottish single malts.
Sure.
So, but in the lineup of Islay peated, I agree with you 100%. It kind of comes onto the palate very smooth. There isn't a ton of sweetness, but there is like kind of a backbone to it. And then it goes into what I like to describe as almost like a bready, oaty cake kind of richness, which I always look for in the malted whiskeys. And it delivers on all of that with a nice finish. Still getting warming notes at the back of the mid throat. Like I'm not feeling it all the way down, but yeah, fantastic bottle. And for those who love peat, you're going to see an expression of this that's really tasty.
I'm going to sort of work backwards with the finish. The finish is, like you said, long. And to be honest with you, I'm still feeling, I'm still tasting it.
Yeah.
And that goes with, the peat lingers no matter how you slice and dice it. Johnny's right. It basically gets, it gets a little bit more earthy with the flavors and stuff like that. And so mid palate for me, I'll stop working forward then tasting it for the second time. Anyways, I get all of that saline. I get that citrus. I get it like almost like I'll even be a little bit more specific. It's a Meyer lemon sitting in the middle of your tongue in the mid palate on this one. It's a beautiful whiskey. It's matured enough to take out really all the rough edges. Because a lot of people will tell me, especially even with Islay, with Ardbeg and stuff like that, is they're getting, there can be what's other than that sweetness, there can be sort of a very aggressiveness to it.
Right.
That has sort of disappeared with the 19 years on this, and it probably also has to do with a little bit of the extra sherry.
Yeah,
I am tasting the extra sherry mid palate too. That's still there. So you're getting a little bit of that, some of those darker fruit notes. I will agree with you on the saline part of that, and also getting a little bit of saltiness on it. Beautiful whiskey. Beautiful whiskey. It's in the $300 range. This is not a inexpensive endeavor, but if you're a fan of Ardbeg and you're looking for something, everybody always says that they come out with all these different things and there's not a big differential.
Yeah.
The 19 years old makes it just on that alone makes it a big difference between everything else that's out there. I was going to say a buy.
Yeah, buy. I'm always very budget conscious. And this is on the upper ends of what I would spend money on. But if you're looking for a special gift, if you're trying to do something special for yourself, this really delivers. It's a very special product, and at $300, that kind of
that's over that
sets me back a little bit. But I think that it is worth the money. The nose is fantastic on this, and then the final thing I'll say is that it is peated, so
that's a no buy if you don't like peated,
right? Like, and if you're buying a gift for somebody, this is going to be. I would check to see if they like peated whiskeys before you purchase this, because like we're happy to say, if you are unhappy with the contents of the bottle, we'll all show up at your house and drink the rest of it.
Yeah, we have no problem with that. No, this is like, I say a lot of stuff that's like peated for an overall effect on the whiskey. It's like, salt on a steak. It's not the main course. The peat in this is sort of the main course. Yes. The salt on the steak for this one would probably be the sherry component.
Yeah, adding a little bit of a dryness and some
Yeah.
of those dried fruit notes, but subtle. And it does have a little bit of a citrus kind of tang that you get on the sides of it.
Johnny, what do you say?
This is definitely a buy for me. I think we kind of overlooked one of the most important things here that I have in my notes is that according to Ardbeg's website, this was bottled under a full moon.
Okay.
Oh, geez, if I had known that, we wouldn't even bother. Should just go and buy it. Don't worry about it.
Each
No.
each batch has been bottled at a different time or a different thing going on. The
Mhm.
batch 2 was bottled during a HAAR in Scottish Gaelic, a har, I think that's called, which is a thick coastal mist. Batch 3 was bottled during global lockdown, and batch 4 under a full moon. And this is also a Colin Gordon one
Oh, well, okay.
as
Okay.
well, who's the
Okay.
distillery manager
Yeah.
versus Bill Lumsden. So if you look at each batch has a specific code on it.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, the last piece is CG for Colin Gordon.
Okay. That's
There
good.
you
So
go.
this, how many things they're going to do on I don't know if they're having the eclipse there. Are they having the eclipse there?
Oh.
Because if there is, there
Right.
will be one under the eclipse. Anyways, this
Batch 6.
this is Ryan Maloney. This is Randall Bird. This is Johnny on the Spot, John Hendricks, saying thank you for joining us for this edition of Three Men in a Bottle. See you next time.
Slange.
I could give you a full moon if we weren't on the video. So you could drink this under.
I'm going to get rid of that so we get off there.